Dan Illman, Matt Bernier kicking off a 50-cent pick four with graded stakes action. Race number 9 at Oaklawn on Arkansas Derby Saturday is the Grade 2 Oaklawn Handicap. This for the older horses going a mile and an eighth. You're going to want to bet the pick four with DRF bets. You're also going to want to bet race number 1 and enjoy the first post bonus on the preps presented by DRF bets. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 at Oaklawn and/or Keeneland, where the two major Kentucky Derby preps are on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus whether your horse wins or loses. Learn more, drf.com/preps. Let's meet the field of older horses getting set to go a mile and an eighth in the prestigious Oaklawn Handicap. Morning line favorite, Matt, the number 6. Giant Expectations, beaten favorite last time out in the Essex Handicap. This horse has not won a race since opening day of the Santa Anita Winter Meet in 2017, and you can argue that race was handed to him on a silver platter. I am dubious as to whether he wants to go a mile and an eighth. I respect his ability. I'm concerned that he doesn't like to get out of the gate anymore.
No, I agree with all that. I mean, I've long said that to me, he's a one-turn miler. These longer distance races, especially going 2 turns, they just don't seem to work for him, in my opinion. I think he's better going shorter. And if he's going to be the morning line favorite or anything close to the post-time favorite, he's just not the kind of horse for me. I'm going to try to beat him every time.
Second choice on the morning line, down towards the inside for the Asmussen barn. That's the number 1, Tenfold. Winner of the Jim Dandy last year, 3rd in the Preakness. Did a lot of good things as a 3-year-old before going on the sidelines after an uncharacteristically dull performance in the Travers. Now, last time out, I'm not sure what to make of that race. His first start against older horses. I know it was off the layoff. He had every reason to be a short horse, but he was lugging in. He changed back to his left lead, and now Asmussen immediately adds blinkers. I wonder what we're going to get from Tenfold. I expect a tighter performance second off the layoff. I just didn't love the way he finished last time.
No, and I have to be honest with you. You know, this is a horse that had a lot of hype and a lot of talk going into his 3-year-old summer. The race is up at Saratoga, and he did win that Jim Dandy. But I have in Formulator written in a trip note that he was drifting about down the lane. I didn't love the way that he finished there. Then he comes back with an absolute dud in the Travers, and he's gone since then. Then he shows up in that run at the fairgrounds, and everything you laid out, he's lugging in. The lead changes. Now the blinkers go on. Perhaps the blinkers going on is all that he needs. I don't like the field that he beat or that he ran against that day. The winner I know was the next out winner, but only with a 91. Tenfold to me is another one. Depending on his price, I just wouldn't take anything too short.
He is 7-2 on the morning line. Now, with the blinkers on, do you think Asmussen sends him? We saw in the Jim Dandy that he can be close to the pace and still finish at this distance. Maybe that's his preferred running style.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me is I don't know that you've got any true confirmed speed in here. I think you have a lot of horses that like to be forwardly placed. Perhaps Quip is the one that I would imagine pegs out to the front, but even with saying that, I don't really look at him as really a horse that's a speed burner. I think he's the kind of horse that if things just kind of develop and allow him to get out there, then so be it. It's going to be interesting to see. I had a difficult time sort of analyzing where I thought certain horses would be positioned.
The 2 Pioneer Spirit has earned a triple-digit buyer speed figure. 2 of them, as a matter of fact, in the past in going gate-to-wire fashion. Maybe that's how Luis Saez will opt to ride this horse, who came from off the pace to win his most recent start for a very good trainer in Brad Cox, and the runner-up came back to run second in a similar optional claimer with an 89 buyer. Let's look at the formulator facts for Cox over the past 5 years. With older dirt routers that won their most recent start heading into a graded stake, 23% winners and a positive ROI. He does have back numbers. He likes to win races. He is versatile, and Timeform US actually has him on the lead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out, because this is the kind of horse, there is some forecasted wet weather for Saturday down in Hot Springs. He clearly can handle that. That's not an issue. My bigger concern with him is as the distances get longer, does he necessarily improve? He won at a mile and a 16th last time. I understand that, but mile and an eighth, it may not sound like much, but that extra 16th of a mile, I don't know that I would love the prospects of him stretching out. Now, keep in mind, he's 10-1 on the line. If you're going to get 10-1, I'm not going to talk you off of it, but I'm a little bit concerned about added ground.
Let's talk a little bit about Lone Sailor for Tom Amos, who I think did his very best in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think he ran just fine to be 6th that day. He returned off the layoff in the Mineshaft Handicap. He was the beaten favorite, and nothing really went right for him. He did have the layoff as the built-in excuse before the race, and then there was just no pace going on. And a horse like him, a deep closer, you don't even see his chiclet on the Timeform US pace projector. He needs pace. Last time out in the New Orleans Handicap, he got some pace. He came with his run. I think he is slowly rounding into form for Tom Amos. I just hate horses with his running style.
Well, and the other thing that I question with a horse like this, I mean, what is his absolute best? Have we seen it already? He's run 17 times. He's got a career best fig of 97. I suppose that's fast enough to get it done, but there's just a part of me that looks at it and says, if you really want a deep closer, I think there are better ones in here.
Rated R Superstar is another one of those closers. We see him last on the pace projector, and he edged out Snapper Sinclair last time out in the Essex Handicap, so we know he likes Oaklawn. That race is the local prep. He has come back good since being claimed by this barn for 62.5, but he's another horse that is stepping up in class. And while he has won at 1 1/8 in the past, I've always sort of liked him at slightly shorter distances.
Now, I agree with that, and I think you also have to keep an eye on the weather with a horse like this, where he's only 1 for 8 over a wet track. He's got a couple of minor awards, but to me, he does his best on a fast track. I just don't know that I would want to take anything too short on him either.
The 5 Remembering Reed is a real honest runner, and last time out he showed some versatility. He was up close to the pace. He held off Looking at Lee, who is also in this spot. I think he can actually be closer than where the pace projector has him, and there's a pretty good formulator fact for his trainer, Doug Anderson. Over the past 4 years with last out winning older horses on dirt off a short layoff, not only 33% winners, but 7 of 9 on the board, and a $2.84 ROI. The buyer speed figures this year have yet to reach the heights from the summer of 2018. Does that worry you?
Yeah, a little bit, because not only have they not gotten back to that, but he hasn't even eclipsed a 90 yet at this point. And you take a look, I think the other thing you may want to keep an eye on, there's a big differential between the time form rating and the buyer in that most recent run. The buyer of an 89, I suppose it makes him a fringe contender, but even then, that's on the light side. Time form was much less charitable about that run, only a 103 raw. So that makes me wonder a little bit about that number. I don't know if he's fast enough.
Looking at Lee has banked $1.1 million in his career. He was 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. He was 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. He has credentials. Last time out was his first start off of a very long layoff. Remembering Rita pressed the pace that day, got the jump, held off Looking at Lee. It was nice to see Looking at Lee run at the end of his races, but that's kind of been his MO, hasn't it? Close, but no cigar.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know what you're getting here. You're going to have a horse that's coming from way out of it. And I know a couple times he's shown a little bit more tactical ability. I would just be surprised if he's too close to the pace. I think you take him back. You try to make that one run with Smith. He's run well enough on a wet track in the past, so that part to me doesn't really bother me. If you get 6, 7, 8 to 1, I think he's a little bit interesting underneath.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 2 Oaklawn Handicap. Matt, you and I both liked Chris and Dave as a stab play at 21 to 1 last time out in the Essex, and I was very proud of the way he ran. He tried hard all the way around the track. He was beaten less than 2 lengths. He is as honest as the day is long with 20 exacta finishes from 41 lifetime starts. I'm off him, which is a good sign for you, and the fact that there's a wet weather in the forecast is a good sign for you, because he might be 2-3 lengths better on a wet track.
I mean, that's just the way that I looked at it. I don't love anyone in this race, and from a sort of a pace situation, he can be a little bit closer if it is really, really soft, or he can come from a little bit farther off of it. But really, it came down to the wet track. He's 4 for 6 lifetime, 5 for 6 in the exacta. I think if you get something close to that run 2 starts back. By the way, I'm not sold on the 1 1/8 with him either, but I did like the way that he finished in that Essex Stakes. You get that run 2 starts back. Time form gave him a 118. I think if he runs that, he's got a big chance in here at what's going to be a giant, giant price. He might be 30 to 1 when it's all said and done. He is not the likeliest of winners, but I do think he has a puncher's chance.
I'm concerned about the possibility of a wet track for the 7 Quip, although it might have just simply been the company, and it might have simply been something physical that went wrong in the Grade 1 Preakness when he was beaten a zillion lengths, his only prior start on wet going. He did run well at Oaklawn, went 2nd in the Arkansas Derby last year, and I thought it was a useful return to the races in the Grade 3 Howell's Hope, where he was just forced to duel with 2 other horses while down towards the inside. I mean, that was a lung blower for him. He should have gotten a lot out of that race. He was outpaced on the turn, altered course to the outside, finished evenly, flattered when the winner came back to win another graded stake with a 100 buyer speed figure. I'd prefer to see Quip out there on the lead, not getting any mud kicked in his face, but I have to be honest, I'm not sure if he's fast enough to get the lead with some of the others in here. I know he'll be close.
Yeah, I would like to see him just be aggressively ridden, go to the front and see if you can clear. But I'm with you. It's not. That's why I said it. He's not a burner. That just doesn't seem like that's what he is. He feels like that sort of nice horse. I hate the term cruising speed, but it feels like he just gets out there and he gets into his gear and he goes on with it. And if it's out there on the lead, so be it. Look, he's the one with the upside in here, him and Tenfold. And if either of them take a giant step forward here, they're lightly raced 4-year-olds. They're probably just going to be better than everyone else in here. I'm just not completely sold that either of them are going to take that giant step forward necessarily to make themselves major win players.
You're going with Chris and Dave, 20-1 on the morning line. Give me numbers.
3, 7, 6, 1.
This race kicks off with 50-cent pick 4. I'm going 7, 1, 8, 9 in the Grade 2 Oaklawn Handicap. Remember that first post bonus presented by DRF Bets? Bet $25 to win on any one horse in race number 1 at Oaklawn and or Keeneland on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus whether your horse wins or loses. Learn more at drf.com/preps. Approximate post time for the Oaklawn Handicap, 5:22 Central. Good luck.